Today marks 372nd day. Share lessons I learn and continue to learn with you. My hope these insights will inspire you, support your dreams, help achieve your goals, and empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today I speak about one very interesting and very important topic: emotions. Emotions. Every single person has emotions, so every single person needs to understand their emotions. I think that not being able to understand your emotions is sabotaging a lot of people from their true success. Now, I understand that people who really achieve success, they understand that discipline is even more important than emotions. Because with discipline, you're able to really regulate your emotions. And sometimes you don't need to regulate your emotions. What you need to do, you just need to do the necessary things, because when you do your things, what's necessary to be done, you are able to get the results and emotion that you want. But if we allow our emotions to control our actions, those actions will not allow to get what we want. Today, I want to focus on really more on understanding what do we need to know. What do we need to know about our emotions? What do we need to know? And one thing that I want to start with, there is probably there are more groups, but like I separated groups in three groups: positive, negative, and neutral. And I have a list of 15 each. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about emotions is that we're able to really start questioning. So what kind of emotion do I feel? And this is that emotion is in positive, in negative, or neutral. Because if you really start tracking your emotions and you say, like, yeah, 80% of my time I spend in negative emotions. What that leads to? What that leads to when you spend 80% of the time in negative emotions? That means that it leads to negative attitude. And what leads to negative attitude? Leads to attracting negative things. I truly believe in law on attraction, but law on attraction is what you feel and what kind of vibrations do you have. Because I think that misconception is that when you say what you want, you will get what you want. I think that you is not what you say that you get, it's what you believe in and what kind of vibrations do you send to the universe. And that's why today I will share what do we need to do to really improve our emotions, just to make sure that we're able to attract better things into our life. So let's make first understanding what are those emotions that are positive, negative, or potentially neutral. So first I will list 15 positive and 15 negative and 15 neutral. So 15 positive emotions are joy, gratitude, love, excitement, contentment, hope, um, pride, positive pride, because of course pride could have a both sides. It could have a negative and a positive. But in general, when you do something right, having a pride for the things that you did and for the person you are, that's a good thing. Pride could be a bad thing when you didn't do anything good, but you still feel proudful for anything that you didn't do. So, but as again, this is another topic. Amusement, inspiration, relief, confidence, compassion, serenity, curiosity, admiration, aspiration. Now, 15 negative emotions are sadness, anger, fear, disgust, guilt, shame, jealousy, envy, loneliness, anxiety, frustration, regret, embarrassment, resentment, despair. So it's easy to understand those are negative emotions. And interesting because when I think about serenity and loneliness, it's very, very similar. So sometimes people say like, "Oh, I am lonely," but sometimes we understand that you're not able to feel two different emotions at the same time. You're not able to have a feeling of positive and negative emotion at the same time. So maybe when we're able to really change perspective of where we're at, of course, it's easier to say than done. But a lot of times, people who have serenity, they start to feel lonely, and I think that's part of how long you are staying by yourself. And neutral mixed emotions could be surprise, confusion, maybe nostalgia, awe, empathy, ambivalence, tension, suspension, maybe disappointment, cynicism, indifference, surrealness, fatigue, restlessness, mindfulness. So those are like a mixed emotions. And I think that you need to understand what emotions and where do you separate them. And I think that this might be not the perfect list, and that's all fine. The most important part is not to have a perfect list, but being able to aware what kind of emotions do you feel on a consistent basis? What kind of emotions do I feel on a consistent basis? And what are those 80% of emotions? And maybe I'm able to say, like, I, my emotions are like five emotions, six emotions, and that's it. I don't feel any other emotions. Six emotions that I stick to 80% of the time, and that's it. Maybe you're able to ask questions like, what could they do to bring more emotions to my life? Maybe I never feel joy. So what could they do to attract more joy? What could they do to attract curiosity? What could they do to really bring those more positive emotions? I think it's a beautiful question when you start asking, what could they do to bring more positive emotions? And again, the question is not how I could reduce negative emotions, because what you focus on expands. So if you focus on the problem expands. If you focus on solution expands. So I think with emotions, that's exactly the same thing. What you focus on expands. Also, that the questions are always supposed to be not how to stop being sad, but it's supposed to be how I'm supposed to be more happy. How I'm supposed to be more joyful, because the happy, of course, is very fleeting. How to be more blissful. How to attract more excitement into my life. I think that's exactly what we're supposed to do to really make sure that we moving forward. So when you think about emotions, there's three aspects that you need to understand. Three aspects. So number one, emotional awareness. Emotional awareness. Without that, we're not able to really move any forward. Because emotional awareness is the foundation of really improving what's going on right now. Because if you have no idea what emotions you have feeling, because I'm that kind of person. Majority of my life, I have no idea what emotions I'm feeling. When someone is asking me, how do you feel? I literally didn't know how I feel. I didn't care about how I feel because I used to believe that mental toughness is the most important thing in life. I realized that that was my weakness, that's my blind spot, because mental toughness is essential in life. But emotional regulation, emotional awareness, and understanding that your emotions are essential as mental toughness, emotional toughness could be as well. Emotional toughness is coming from emotional regulation. So this is second. So number one is emotional awareness. Second is emotional regulation. Really being able to regulate how you feel, being able to adjust. So as I said, that you're not able to feel two emotions at the same time, positive and negative. So knowing that you're not able to feel two emotions at the same time, so it means is emotional regulation is okay. How am I transition from this side, from negative to a positive? Sometimes you can do immediately within 1 second just by awareness, just understanding that you're negative, just to right away switch to another. Sometimes when you actually are in adversity, in struggle, in pain, disappointment, something can really actually happen. It might be that you will say, I can, like, I look at, allow myself giving 24 hours to be miserable, allow myself to feel that negative emotion, and then you transition out of that negative emotion to positive emotion. It might be that that will be a season, and maybe 3 days, maybe a week, when you will be negative. Maybe there's something devastating happened. I think that is very, very important to give yourself that time, giving that a week. Because sometimes you want to finish within 24 hours. I wanted to really finish my grieving in a week, and I gave myself a week to really grieve, but that week was not enough. When you lose something that is essentially extremely important, that you maybe even base your goals on somebody, and you lost that person, at that moment, 1 week will be not enough. And I think that after I lost my brother, I tried to give myself a week to grieve, but that week was not enough, and I numbed myself. I numbed myself because I didn't understand what's going on, and I think that is I needed to realize how important it is to understand emotions at a higher level, to understand where you're at, and being able to really regulate those emotions rather than shut them down, because that's not what I used to do. That's what I thought is strong person do. They shut the emotions down. But what I realized that you shut the emotions down is you prolong that emotion. You prolong that emotion. You prolong that negativity. So being able to feel it through and change, then I think that's the most important part. Feel it through, and I think that there's one thing, beautiful thing, is that emotions. could be transitioned through action, some kind of action. So we can ask, like, what kind of emotion, what kind of action could lead to really release that emotion? Because we need to release that emotion. And one of the beautiful things is that I used to be a very angry boy at a young age for different reasons. And one thing that really helped me was starting training judo. Judo allowed me to really become a very calm kid because I was able to release all the negative emotions that I had into my heart. And I think every single person is able to choose, okay, and ask, okay, what I'm able to do to release this emotion. I'm able to go to nature for a walk. Could it be doing some stretches? Could I do to gym? Gym is amazing. Lift some weights. Could I go to speak with somebody? Maybe I'm a person who externally is releasing by help to expressing myself to. What are those things? Maybe writing, journaling. I think there's a beautiful thing. And when we're able to really regulate emotions, we're able to understand that we're able to balance our emotions. And I think that's the balance is that it's okay to sometimes to feel negative. I really love that I heard just a training that depression is just a compression of your emotions. Depression is a compression of your emotions. So what it means, compression means that you need to reflect on something, on your life, on your relationships, on your direction. So when you compress, you're not supposed to be sad about your compression. Say like this compression of myself is a time to reflect. This is a beautiful time. This is we are built for compression. If we're going after big things, we will compress it sometime. So rather than saying that it's depression, we need to really compress, reflect, release, and at that moment when you're able to do that, of course, those depressions will not last. And I think that a lot of times what really helps people say that if you're depressed, go to gym. I think that's a beautiful thing because now you're in the compression. And while, for example, when in the gym, I really think, reflect, and that means what happens is you reflect, you release, and that compression really releases itself, and the depression disappears. And depression is coming a lot of times from not being able to balance your emotions. That's why it's very, very important to really be able to really even rate yourself. I think that we're able to say like, where is my emotions right now from 1 to 10? So from 0 to 3 is struggling. From 4 to 6, maybe inconsistent. From 7 to 8, steady with occasional drips, and then dips, and 9 to 10 is like thriving emotionally. I think that we need to understand that, like where are we at right now? Because every single person has some kind of trigger, small or bigger, and understanding those patterns, understanding where we are. I think that is the way to go. So the three things that we need to really focus, and I want to really finalize my day today with today's lesson, is that emotional awareness. Really understand your emotions, list all the emotions, understand when you feel those emotions, may be able to attract them. Emotion regulation, really able to understand, okay, how I'm able to transition between those emotions. I really understand there is a balance in life. You're not able to feel all times on the highest of the joy. You'll be bounce back, and that's totally fine. And being able, okay, to really sometimes going up those swings a little bit, I think that's the thing. That's a great way to look into emotions whatsoever. So I hope you reflect on emotions because I said that this is an essential topic because emotions will show up when you do the things that you love. Emotions will show up when you are in a relationship. Emotions show up when you're pursuing your vision. All the emotions will show up, and we need to really work with them and really make sure that our emotions work with us to pursue our vision rather than against us. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.